It's almost like the writers figured out the first two parts weren't really working and decided they were going to go ahead and write a different story, but then forgot to start over. I don't think it's possible that any other actor that has ever played the Doctor could have done what Tom Baker did in this episode. And then dresses up like the bird version of Manos' Hands of Fate. You can go ahead and thank Tecum for this one. I figure I have no idea how to exactly and properly pronounce this guy's username, so Tecum it is. And what a story to tackle! Set smack dab in the middle of the Key to Time story arc, this one is generally regarded as weird. If you haven't seen it, you'll understand why in a little bit. Because rarely do tone shifts this large happen in Doctor Who, and whoo boy, does this one ever switch tones. We go from an atmospheric, gothic-y horror tale to campy sci-fi with no warning. But could it actually work? Let's find out together as we watch and review The Stones of Blood. Subscribe, or the Megara will find you guilty of breaking the law and execute you. Previously on Doctor Who, the Doctor and Romana found 2 parts of the Key to Time and need to go find the third one with the help of their crystal wand thing. I know how shocked you'll be to find out that this part is on Earth, but considering it's the only one that's found there this whole season, you have to appreciate the writer's restraint in not hiding them all there for budgetary reasons. On Earth, some dipshits dressed like druids, or Satanists, or priests, or look, I don't fucking know. They got robes on. Anyway, they pour some blood on some big stone, and it comes to life. I should mention that these stones don't look like the ones from my thumbnail. They just look like tall Jenga pieces. So, I guess enjoy my clickbait? Romana dresses for Earth, since she's never been, but the Doctor's like, girl, honey, you wear those and your ankles will be filing for workman's comp. They talk a bit about the White and the Black Guardians and the season arc thing, but we're not gonna with all that. Anyway, K9 is in this episode. They get to Earth and head over to see the stone circles, known as the 9 Travelers. Actually, the actual location that they're filming at is the Rollright Stones in Oxfordshire, you uneducated loser. And meet Professor Amelia Rumford. This old boring pain in the ass that you'll wish would get killed at some point, but spoilers, doesn't. The Doctor finds some blood when the old Battle Axe's buddy shows up. She's Vivian Faye. She's tall like an Amazon, talks like a bitch, and is important later. The Doctor hears about some local druids and fucks off to their castle that they live at and just waltzes in. Inside, these 2 weirdos worship crows and say Kaliak over and over and over until the doorbell buzzes. The bald one goes to talk to the Doctor, distracts him with this person dressed up like a crow, and then knocks the Doctor out. Elsewhere, Romana helps out our lesbian couple. Seriously, something's going on here, right? It's not just me? I mean, I know there's an age gap, but there's way too many stereotypes that line up. Don't cancel me, I'm just saying. Then they leave Romana because it's getting late. Romana hears the Doctor calling her name, so she runs to a cliff, following the voice, and then, I guess some unseen entity backs her off a cliff? If I know. The druids are gonna sacrifice the Doctor, but that don't matter though. He wakes up and shouts for the old lady, so sorry everybody, the human sacrifice party is a bust. They realize Romana is missing, so the Doctor uses K9 to go find and rescue her. Then he leaves again and goes back to the druids. But they're dead now because the walking stones killed them. Yeah, they're walking stones now. They try to hurt the Doctor, but K9's a badass and blasts them back because he's a good boy, and good boys blast that try to mess with the Doctor. Meanwhile, Romana just wants to stop looking at the old Crypt Keeper's notes, so she takes Granny to the castle and sees the mess. They find that, oh my god, what the f*** happened to K9? What the hell? His guts are all over the place! Thankfully, he's still alive. It turns out that one of the walking stone pillars, I guess, fell on him and spilled his guts out everywhere. Romana has figured out how to save him and takes him back to the TARDIS, while this bird lady gives the stones their globulin dinner. That's a protein found in blood, you moron, and that's what these stones eat. She calls them the Ogri, and tells them to obey her, which is odd because I thought they already were. The Doctor and Gasbag Granny find a hidden room and piece together that Vivian Faye is really some alien that's been around forever, while Romana fixes K9, but then she gets her ass sci-fi'd. The stones of globulin start chasing them, but the Doctor and Granny Cradle Robber decide to have a comedy show that lasts nearly half the episode. Seriously, at one point the Doctor acts like a matador to trick one of them to fall off a cliff. They even include this music.
I know you're under considerable strain, Doctor, but please keep a grip on yourself.
They find out Faye took Romana, so the Doctor builds a thing, argues with K9, has a 10-minute conversation about hyperspace, Granny picks up his machine, the Doctor fixes it while the Ogri come from south-southwest,
2 Ogri approaching from south-southwest,
and K9 holds them off while the Doctor gets sci-fi'd to wherever the Romana went, which happens to be a spaceship. He immediately finds Romana and gets her free, checks the ship's computer, and finds out they are parked above humanity. Just in hyperspace, but parked. Whatever, dude, it's science fiction. K9 uses all of his power saving that old bitch's ass, so the Ogri head down to a campsite and suck the blood out of some campers. It's hilarious! The Doctor breaks the seal on one of the doors on the spaceship and lets out these 2 light sparkles. These beings are called the Megara, and they are justice machines. They act as judge, jury, and executioner for whatever case or injustice they see. And if you thought about Judge Dredd when you heard that, you and I can hang out. The Megara are pissed because someone broke the seal on the door, and because there was a warning not to under penalty of death, which then released them without proper authorization, so they decide to put the Doctor on trial for it. He nopes out, but they just follow him anyway. Faye, now Silver, goes back and destroys the Doctor's teleport machine and then beams back with some of the Ogri. So you know, that shit's not good. It's okay because the Megara show up. You see, while they were following the Doctor, they had a trial, and the Doctor wasn't there, but they had it anyway, and he was defended by one of the Megara, and he sucks as a lawyer. So now they're gonna execute the Doctor. He appeals and calls Romana to the stand, but she's not much help, so he calls the Silver Bitch. She doesn't wanna, but the Megara are kinda serious about this, so she takes the stand. But unfortunately, the Megara refused to hook her up to the truth-telling beam and ask her her real name, so looks like the Doctor's gonna go ahead and be executed. They shoot him, but he pulls that Silver Bitch close, and they both go down. Elsewhere, K9 and the old bitch fix the beam thing, and they get Romana back. She finds some evidence that she can take to the Megara that prove that Faye isn't who she says she is, and then beam back to the ship. None of that was necessary because the Megara reach into the Silver Bitch's memory cells to make sure she didn't get brain damage from the beam and figure out she's who they were put on this ship to look for. So they turn her into a stone on Earth. Before they do, the Doctor grabs her necklace, which happens to be the third part to the key to time, and the Doctor sends the Megara back to some planet 1,000 years away before they can execute him. The Doctor and Romana leave the old lady to be extremely cold on the English countryside. The end. So yeah, that was quite the odd little Doctor Who story, wasn't it? Started out with some old school stereotypes of druids with sacrifices and bird costumes, and ended up with sparkle judge machines. And a near execution of the Doctor. Crazy. Let's go ahead and talk about the things that I liked. Rather than ignore it, let's just go ahead and address the big old elephant of this story. I liked the tone shift. I'm actually a bit thankful for it. I wish it had happened sooner though, because the first 2 parts of this thing were really slow. I mean, talk about a circle jerk. The Doctor needs the key. They go to Earth. They find some stones. They meet some women. Some druids are doing some sacrifices, but they suck at it. There's crows, paintings, and more of this old lady than you can shake a stick at. I mean, sure, it was atmospheric and it felt like a low-budget horror movie, but not a lot of cool stuff was going on, and there were columns moving around. But the second this thing went into space, it became fantastic. Campy? Hell yes. But things got fun, they got engaging, they got silly. Everything that was missing from the first 2 parts. It's almost like the writers figured out the first 2 parts weren't really working and decided they were going to go ahead and write a different story, but then forgot to start over. And I'm not saying that the last 2 episodes of this story were perfection or anything, it's just that the Megara were super fucking funny, and this was way more fun than that shit. So I appreciate the hell out of making me smile and have a good time after having to endure Endora the Stone Explorer and some dumbass druids for 2.5 episodes. I love Tom Baker. If you've been watching me for a little while now, you already know that. But Tom Baker is really the only reason this thing didn't crash and burn hard. I don't think it's possible that any other actor that has ever played the Doctor could have done what Tom Baker did in this episode. Tom is so damn breezy and fun throughout this story, you just sort of sit back and think, okay, sure, I don't really care, I just really want to see what he does next. There is no way that I could have stayed awake for that 10-minute conversation that he had with the old windbag when they're building the transport array. She's annoying and asking dumb questions and just being all around boring, but Tom is over here fully engaged and quipping and making a boring story interesting enough not to hit the fast forward button. He's like that throughout the entire story. He is the thing that is keeping you from turning this shit off because he's fun and quippy and looks like he's having a blast. But then the story turns Looney Tunes crazy with the Megara, and you see him go into fun overdrive as he just gets to be Tom and just riffing around for 12 minutes, and I will tell you, it is glorious. There has never been anyone like him, and there's never going to be anyone again, and because of that, I will always love Tom Baker. He is the Doctor.
I do not wish you to suffer unduly. I will plead with my colleague for a swift, painless death for you.
I cannot stress enough how much I enjoyed the Megara. Aside from being a much-needed reprieve from how the story was shaping up until their appearance, they are, quite honestly, hilarious. It's one thing that they follow the letter of the law to its fullest. I mean, they are justice machines. That tracks. But the fact that they gave them both distinctive personalities was the right choice. Both of them are pompous and haughty to the extreme, but one is slightly more empathetic, while the other one just really wants to get on with executing the Doctor. And of course, the whole scenario is just absurd and ridiculous, so that just plays right into Tom's personality, and the whole trial just turns out to be stupid in the best way possible. It's a bummer the Megara never make a return, and I know most of you will have a hard time believing this, but there is not one Big Finish audio story that features them. And considering that they pump out story after story featuring even the most minor of characters from the show, I feel like a box set of this race of rejected Twilight Sparkles enforcing their machine justice would have been well worth my time listening to. Get on this, Big Finish. Things I didn't like. I didn't like the villain lady, Vivian Faye, the Caliac, whatever she's called. She sucks. She's supremely irritating throughout the whole story. No matter how we see her, be it as the young lady that lives with the old lady, dressed up like a steampunk bird, or even as the silver bitch, her default setting is everything she says is condescending and set in a tone that makes you want to murder her. I mean, she's the villain and I suppose I'm supposed to not like her, but she's always smiling and arrogant. And she acts like she's playing the villain in a soap opera. Oh, this old thing? I procured it at Ridley's when I slept with your husband. She's too over the top is what I'm saying. That's not to say that I didn't have fun with her in parts, like when she's just sitting there laughing because the Megara are going to execute the Doctor instead of noping out the second the Megara were done with her as a witness. That was in character, so I appreciate it. But she's just too much most of the time. Plus, the way she carries out her plan is f***ing weird. I get that she changes identities every now and then. She ran a convent before deciding to be different rich lady widows, but here in the 1970s, she lives in a cottage down the road from her big-ass estate, befriends some old lady that's surveying the stones instead of, I don't know, just killing her, has a bunch of people that feed blood to the Ogri for her, and then dresses up like the bird version of Manos' Hands of Fate. She makes them do her bidding and feeds globulin to the silicone stones. She apparently can also get up to the ship that hovers above them in hyperspace at any time she damn well pleases, where she's got 2 light bulbs that think they're Judge Dredd. Why are you doing this, silver bitch? To protect the Ogri? I mean, my understanding is that you have them around for muscle, which admittedly is a nice to have, but I kind of feel like you didn't need to slop blood on these pillars so they can live. You could have just laid low and never ever been caught. I think you can figure out by now that I didn't like the old bitch, Amelia Rumford. I think I'm supposed to find her amusing in how wrong she is about the Doctor and how she thinks he's some professor in the beginning and then brags for eons about her studies, but I didn't. I'm sure the actress is a nice lady that handed out peppermints to all the little boys and girls in her time, but holy shit does she suck in this story. It's not just because she's insufferable. We get plenty of insufferable people on Doctor Who that usually die, but they aren't typically presented as characters that I'm intended to like. This old bitch never shuts the f*** up. I understand the irony of me saying that, considering I come on YouTube and rant around 30 minutes every 2 weeks about some TV show most people don't even watch, but this old hag just rubbed me the wrong way. She goes on and on about her studies of the stones. She waxes on and on to Romana about her notes. She repeats over and over the instructions the Doctor gives her about how to operate the hyperspace machine like she's fighting off early onset dementia.
2200330037.
Now!
And it's like they just kept ramming her down my throat like they thought she was the best guest star they ever got. But she wasn't. Sure, she was a Shakespearean actress that was well known in theater circles, but the general audience had no idea who she was, so why is she being treated like some spare royal who's getting her first acting role on a BBC show, so she damn well better have a good part? And then at the end, you're just full on blaring her nipples on TV. Like she has full headlights going on here, probably because it's cold as shit. But you don't just crop that out when your intention is to honor her for her theater gravitas and being on a little kid's TV show? That's some cold shit, and well, honestly pretty funny. I know it's a bit of me to say because overall I like her just fine, but I didn't really like Romana 1 in this story. I've already mentioned that I'm more of a Romana 2 guy. Her chemistry and dichotomy with the Doctor just works better for me. I get that there are those out there that prefer Romana 1, and you're free to do so. I mean, what am I gonna do, stop you? But Romana 2 had a better vibe going on for me. Romana 1 just comes off like she's on a 1970s soap opera. She's got a lot of the characteristics of a companion that I enjoy. She's smart, she challenges the Doctor, she isn't a human woman from modern England, and I think she's a pretty awesome person. Although, the one thing I liked more about Romana 2 is that she could throw down. Unfortunately, Romana 1 is just a little more smarmy overall, and I only got capacity to really like one smug hole on this show at a time. Plus, she gets caught really easily. Mind you, I appreciate that she didn't scream her full head off about it, but Romana, you just kinda got taken by the silver bitch here, and I feel like if you really wanted to, you could have taken her. The more I think about it, the more I feel like I got cheated because I didn't get to see that fight. It would have been epic. Well, geez. I guess I didn't really like any of the women in this story. I imagine that's gonna cheese the algorithm and start sending the incels with red hats my way. Don't worry, their little heads are gonna explode when they figure out old Salty Ham is not Scottish, doesn't pretend to be a drunk, and is too level-headed to be an asshole bigot that automatically doesn't like anything to do with strong female characters. It's why I have less than 200 subscribers. Things I didn't understand. I got questions about the Kaliak worshippers at the beginning. First of all, the f*** are they doing all day? They got this big-ass house. Now, I know it's not theirs. It's actually the Silver Bitch's house, but they stay in here. I don't know how or why, but maybe the Silver Bitch just needs a caretaker for her place while she's shacked up with her granny fetish. But what do they do all day? I know I don't get to see them much, but every time they make cutaway to these weirdos, they're just in a dungeon room, lighting fires and chanting Kaliak.
Kaliak, Kaliak, we come to do your bidding.
Is that what they do all day? And the chubby bald druid guy is really dumb. Like, he hits the Doctor over the head and knocks him out, and then he shouts,
His blood is still warm. I know what to do.
Like, yeah man, you just knocked him out, of course his blood is still warm. And even if you had accidentally killed him by braining him on the head, it literally just happened, his blood is gonna be warm either way. Then they're going to sacrifice the Doctor, and Baldy's wife, who's also a druid, tries to stop him because she's worried it's murder. But in the very beginning of this thing, you personally brought the chalice of blood to pour on the stones. Where the f*** do you think that came from? The wife goes on to say that the Kaliak has never demanded a human sacrifice before, so maybe they were just using animal blood this whole time? But then later we find out the Silver Bitch doesn't eat certain foods because she doesn't want her blood to have the same elements that they use to feed the Ogri. Like, why go through all this trouble? You seem to have an unlimited supply of animals, and nobody has come around wondering why there's suddenly a lot less fox and wolves in their population in the 4,000 years you've been feeding these things. Because the Ogri kill the idiot druids the same night that they f*** up the sacrifice, and then go along and kill 2 campers, I guess it doesn't matter. But seriously, what do you guys do all day? Look, I get it. The criticisms and observations that I make in my reviews are absurd most of the time. But people don't come here for the hard commentary, and if you think that was absurd, you'll really be baffled by Nitpick Corner! This whole sequence is really odd. It's not important, just an excuse to have a cliffhanger at the end of the episode, but it's pretty f***ing weird, man. So Romana just gets left by the age play couple and starts looking at crows. Then she hears the doctor shouting her name and heads toward it. So far so good, but then she makes it to the cliffs, hears the doctor shouting her name again, backs up completely to the edge of the cliff, turns around, presumably sees the doctor coming toward her, and gets backed off the cliff. But they don't show the doctor part that backs her off the cliff, so it just kind of looks dumb. Turns out Tom didn't really want to show the bad doctor thing because he felt like the kids don't want to see him like that, and the whole doctor gone bad thing had been done to death. I assumed that they had already filmed Mary Tam's part and just tried to frame it like she saw the doctor being menacing or something and backed off the cliff on accident. But since the whole sequence doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the story, the whole thing just kind of comes off as dumb and weird. I feel like they could have just kept everything as is with the doctor calling her name, but then have the crows attack her, and then she slips off the cliffs and it would have been fine. But maybe they just didn't have time to rethink it.
You have been tried and found guilty on the following charges. Impersonating a religious personage, to wit, a Celtic goddess. Theft of the Great Seal of Diplos, for which the penalty is perpetual imprisonment. The sentence is to run consecutively.
So wait, for these crimes, she just gets turned into a stone for 1,500 years. But for breaking a seal on a door, the doctor gets a death sentence? Man, really doesn't sound like the rest of the galaxy has a sound justice system either. Yeah, this one was weird. I'm pretty sure only a show like Doctor Who could pull off an insane shift from a low-budget satanic sacrifice story to balls-out crazy campy sci-fi courtroom comedy. But pull it off it did. Or I guess I should say Tom Baker pulled it off. That's the magic of Tom Baker as the Doctor. It can be balls-out ridiculous, and he holds it together because he knows people are watching him, and he steps it up to make it fun nearly every time. That f***er is having a blast, and I can't help but have a blast with him. I give the Stones of Blood a 6. The start was pretty rough, but the Doctor and K9 help you get through it, and the Megara are an example of some of the best campy shit this show has ever produced. Thanks for the suggestion, T-Cum. It was a wild one. So what about next time? Well, we have a request from the dude below for The Face of Evil. That's right, we're gonna go back and watch the first episode featuring one of my favorite companions of all time, and get to enjoy a little bit more Tom Baker while we're at it. So go ahead and subscribe, comment, and even make a suggestion on what Doctor Who story you would like for me to review, and you'll likely see me fumble around trying to make intelligent points about it. I'll fail, but it'll be fun to watch me try. And as always, I always thought druidism was founded by Salty Ham in the 17th century as a joke. He had a great sense of humor, Salty Ham.
It's K9 again.
It's
K9 again.
Well, you made it. All the way to the end of another Salty Ham video. I can sense your sadness because it's over. But friend, I've been doing this for a little while now, and have a pretty fair catalog of videos for you to keep wasting your time with. Pick any one of them, or check out this video that YouTube is trying to get you to click on right now. Either way, you'll simply be releasing endorphins into your brain for entertainment rather than actually being productive. Sorry to be so honest, but the truth is, you're still gonna do it anyway. So click away, and I'll see you next time with The Face of Evil.
Bye.